Hello, in this lesson we are going to press pause for just a moment and address the issue of scope inheritance and then do a quick refactor to fix it before we get into our models. So let's see what the problem is. Let's hop into our bookmarks.js file, and you can see that we are only binding to one property on scope. That is current category name. So with that in mind, let's hop into the bookmarks template, and you can see that we are binding to this property current category right here. But the question is, what about all of these other things that we're binding to? For instance, this bookmarks collection in ngRepeat, or these methods that we're binding to in ngClick. Where do those exist? Obviously, they're not in the bookmarks controller. The answer to that question is they are in this main controller here. So you can see the bookmarks collection, these different methods that we're making available onto the main controller, and then making it available on the body tag is kind of the topmost controller. And so in AngularJS, scope objects prototypically inherit from their parent scope object all the way up to root scope. And so this creates an interesting situation where the main controller is the parent controller to the bookmarks controller, and so we are implicitly attaching the scope object or the properties or methods from main controller onto the scope object of the bookmarks controller. So this may seem convenient at first, but when you have an application that's growing in size and complexity, this implicit inheritance is just a recipe for unintended consequences. For instance, what would happen if I changed a property on this bookmarks collection and this URL property actually got changed to like local URL or some other property? This template would break, and you wouldn't be able to understand why by looking at the bookmarks controller, because you have this implicit scope inheritance and you're actually pulling from a property that is much further up the prototype chain. We are going to fix this problem using the controller as syntax. This allows us to convert our controller to a pure JavaScript object, and we no longer have to use scope as the glue between our controller and our view. So the first thing we're going to do is jump into our state definition and just go bookmarks controller as bookmarks. And then in our bookmarks controller, we are going to delete the scope object, and I am going to create a variable called bookmarks and just assign it to this. This is just a convention that I like to use. It also keeps track of the top level JavaScript scope in case you have nested callbacks or closures. And so we'll just go here. And so now we have assigned current category to bookmarks. Let's go back to our template, and it's now bookmarks.currentCategoryName. And so now this reads a little bit better, and it's a little bit more precise of where current category name is coming from. It's on the bookmarks object that we defined in our state definition. So it's bookmark controller as bookmarks, and then we're referencing this property current category name on bookmarks. Let's refresh the page. Let's go to development, and so you can see this is still working. So the interesting thing is the implicit inheritance chain is broken. And so now we're no longer reaching out of our controller into a parent controller and pulling down the bookmarks collection, which is why in the next lesson we are going to actually explicitly provide that to our bookmarks controller in the bookmarks model and make that available. Stay tuned for the next lesson. I'll see you then.